The Philippine Declaration of Independence was proclaimed on June 12, 1898 in Cavite II el Viejo, Philippines, with the public reading of the Act of the Declaration of Independence. Filipino revolutionary forces under General Emilio Aguinaldo proclaimed the sovereignty and independence of the Philippine Islands from the colonial rule of Spain. History. Background. In 1896, the Philippine Revolution began. In December 1897, the Spanish government and the revolutionaries signed a truce, the Pact of Bautista, requiring that the Spanish pay the revolutionaries 800,000 pesos and that Aguinaldo and other leaders go into exile in Hong Kong. In April 1898, at the outbreak of the Spanish-American War, Commodore George Dewey aboard the USS Olympia sailed from Hong Kong to Manila Bay, leading the Asiatic Squadron of the U.S. Navy. On May 1, 1898, the United States defeated the Spanish in the Battle of Manila Bay. Emilio Aguinaldo decided to return to the Philippines to help American forces defeat the Spaniards. The U.S. Navy agreed to transport him back aboard the Usmacali, and on May 19, he arrived in Cavite. The proclamation on June 12. Independence was proclaimed on June 12, 1898 between 4 and 5 in the afternoon in Cavite at the ancestral home of General Emilio Aguinaldo, some 30 kilometers south of Manila. The event saw the unfurling of the national flag of the Philippines, made in Hong Kong by Marcela Agoncillo, Lorenzo Agoncillo, and Delfina Herbosa, and the performance of the March of Filipino Magdalo, as the national anthem, now known as Lupang Hinirang, which was composed by Julian Felipe and played by the San Francisco de Malabon Marching Band. The Act of the Declaration of Independence was prepared, written, and read by Ambrosio Rianzares Bautista in Spanish. The declaration was signed by 98 people, among them an American Army officer who witnessed the proclamation. The final paragraph states that there was a stranger who attended the proceedings, Mr. L. M. Johnson, described as a citizen of the USA, a colonel of artillery. The proclamation of Philippine independence was, however, promulgated on the 1st of August, when many towns had already been organized under the rules laid down by the dictatorial government of General Aguinaldo. Later at Malolos, Bulacan, the Malolos Congress modified the declaration upon the insistence of Apolinario Mabini, who objected to that the original proclamation essentially placed the Philippines under the protection of the United States. Struggle for independence. The declaration was never recognized by either the United States or Spain. Later in 1898, Spain ceded the Philippines to the United States in the 1898 Treaty of Paris that ended the Spanish-American War. The Philippine Revolutionary Government did not recognize the treaty or American sovereignty, and subsequently fought and lost a conflict with the United States, originally referred to by the Americans as the Philippine Insurrection, but now generally and officially called the Philippine-American War, which ended when Emilio Aguinaldo was captured by U.S. forces, and issued a statement acknowledging and accepting the sovereignty of the United States over the Philippines. This was then followed on July 2, 1902, by U.S. Secretary of War Elihu Root telegraphing that the insurrection the United States had come to an end and the provincial civil governments had been established everywhere except those areas inhabited by Moro tribes. Pockets of resistance continued for several years. Following World War II, the U.S. granted independence to the Philippines on 4 July 1946 via the Treaty of Manila. July 4 was observed in the Philippines as Independence Day until August 4, 1964, when, upon the advice of historians and the urging of nationalists, President Diosdado Macapagal signed into law Republic Act No. 4166, designating June 12 as the country's Independence Day. June 12 had previously been observed as Flag Day. Many government buildings are urged to display the Philippine flag in their offices. Current location of the Declaration. The Declaration is currently housed in the National Library of the Philippines. It is not on public display but can be viewed with permission like any other document held by the National Library. During the Philippine-American War, the American government captured and sent to the United States about 400,000 historical documents. In 1958, the documents were given to the Philippine government along with 2 sets of microfilm of the entire collection, with the U.S. federal government keeping 1 set. Sometime in the 1980s and 1990s, the Declaration was stolen from the National Library. As part of a larger investigation into the widespread theft of historical documents and a subsequent public appeal for the return of stolen documents, the Declaration was returned to the National Library in 1994 by University of the Philippines Professor Milagros Guerrero. The text of the Act of Proclamation of the Independence of the Filipino People. The Act of Proclamation of the Independence of the Filipino People is part of a long line of declarations of independence, including the United States Declaration of Independence. It includes a list of grievances against the Spanish government stretching back to Ferdinand Magellan's arrival in 1521 and confer upon our famous dictator Don Emilio Aguinaldo all the powers necessary to enable him to discharge the duties of government, including the prerogatives of granting pardon and amnesty.